welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Offsides Podcast, the unofficial official podcast of Charlotte Football Club. I'm your host, as always, Andres Robledo, and I am joined again by my co-host, as always, Pablo Robledo. Pablo, how has the week been? Are you surviving this hot, humid weather?
Of course I am. I work in an office.
Not out in the streets hustling?
No, I'm out in the streets selling these Charlotte jerseys.
Counterfeit jerseys here.
Counterfeit jerseys and oranges.
I know real jerseys when I see them. I'm rich. That's a Dave Chappelle reference for everyone. Um, well, awesome. Good to hear you surviving. It's actually hot and humid inside my house because our AC unit is out of whack and they don't know how to fix it. So that's always fun. But
I know. I know a guy.
I'm sure you do. Um, but yeah, let's jump straight into the episode. We don't really have any news except for upcoming Wednesday. Chelsea FC are going to be playing Charlotte. How do you think that's going to go?
Probably about the same as Miami.
Yeah,
Well, except without the 2-goal leads.
it's going to be interesting to see. They're not
It's
coming
probably gonna
off
go
of,
like how the DC United game went.
oh, that's actually that's a good estimate. I wonder who's going to play because it's going to be hot. I mean,
Yeah,
long 90 minutes of just chasing the ball. You don't want to
it,
wear out your stars for a friendly. But
true.
that's that's who everyone wants to see play, and from what I've been gathering, it seems like a lot of the Charlotte guys are excited to play them and you know play the best and whatnot. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, no one gets injured.
Yeah, so Darcy's gonna throw a fit.
Yeah, better be on his best behavior, trying to get a contract.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, so again, like neither of us have any big news or anything Charlotte FC related, so we did want to explain our 1 week hiatus. We did record an episode to recap the Nashville game, but when we went to edit it, the audio was just gone. It didn't record, um, so we just decided to take a week off because we were both really busy. But hopefully, this audio is recording and you guys are listening to this episode in the future.
Yeah, let us know if you're not.
Yeah. But I did want to. We're gonna switch up the format of the show a little bit. Instead of just jumping straight into the recap, we wanted to start going forward, do a little topic to get the show going, and this is one that is always discussed among football fans and friends. And Pablo, I want to pose the question to you first. Give me your top three players and of all time, and why you think they're the top. And I have a feeling maybe our top two will be the same. But we'll see.
Uh, yeah, I guess we'll see. Okay, so I'll start from the bottom at number 3. And this is a goalkeeper, but he's out of Colombia. Uh, Oscar Cordova. I've always kind of liked him. I thought he was a good goalie. And I went and checked out some of his highlights. Not that there's too many out there. Um, yeah, but he's not that good. He's not that
He's
good.
your
I think it was
top three of all
yeah,
time.
yeah, I think it was all in my mind. Like I was really young when he was like up and
Didn't
coming.
didn't Dad
He
hook you up with lessons from him because he was like your neighbor at the time?
No, he didn't hook me up with lessons. He was just he lived above us.
Okay,
So in Colombia, in the apartment we lived on the 3rd floor, and he lived on the 4th floor.
the penthouse.
Yeah, yeah. But again, he was just up and coming. He had just got called up to the squad because the whole thing that happened with Rene Higuita, who was the main starting goalie. And for those of you who don't know, Rene Higuita was incarcerated because of associations with Pablo Escobar. So,
Literally guilty
Oscar,
by association.
yeah, yeah. So Oscar Cordova started playing. He did all right. But yeah, that year in the World Cup, we didn't even make it out of the group stage, and we were predicted to win the whole thing.
That's
Um,
sick.
yeah, but I don't know. Like when I remember when I was growing up, he was just like the star goalkeeper. But going back and looking at some of his replays, I'm like, he wasn't that good. But to me, he's still like one of the greatest of all times.
It's not that good, but he is the greatest of all time. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll do my number three. I think my players are probably going to be a bit more commercial than yours. I feel like maybe you're going to get some deep cuts now. You kind of threw me with that first one, but my number three guy would be my favorite player growing up, Ronaldinho, R10. Uh, Truly, probably the most talented guy we've ever seen play the game. And unfortunately, just didn't get to see it for long because you give someone a ton of money who just likes to party. That's all they're gonna do. But I mean, it's crazy what he did achieve. I mean, he won a Champions League, won La Liga a couple of times, won a World Cup. So I mean, he achieved everything there was to achieve in the game. Won a Ballon d'Or. So, I mean, literally won everything, and just
Yeah.
did it like having fun and not really taking it that serious. It seemed like so probably the most talented guy to ever play, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. The way, because like Brazilians always come up and they're always, one of the stars of whatever team they're on. Before Ronaldinho, there was Ronaldo, and I think also Rivaldo coming up. But like Ronaldinho kind of brought like this flair to the game that nobody had ever seen before. He brought especially a lot of like the street soccer.
Yeah,
He pulled a lot of moves that a lot of people just didn't have the nerve to even try. Uh, and he just saw the game like differently. Like he saw space where nobody thought of like putting a ball in, and he thought of
yeah,
ways of like passing balls at like. I remember when he started doing those back passes where he would like just stop and use his back to pass.
yeah.
I was like, geez, like nobody would ever thought of that. Or when he came out with the what's that move he's got?
The
The
Elastico.
gaucho, the elastico.
Yeah.
Like,
That I mean,
nobody's ever done
God,
that.
that revolutionized the game. Maybe not for the
Yeah,
better, but everyone has tried it at least once, you know.
e- exactly.
And
I
if
think
you
he's
pull it
even.
off, like you just get. I remember I pulled it off in practice one time when doing like one-on-one drills, and it just sent everyone like going crazy because you're just like, that's so sick to get someone with that move. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you also think about like how much he changed the game like commercially, you know, with Nike and the Joga
Mm-hmm.
Bonito and Nike giving him his own like colorway of cleats for the first time ever. Like they never really did that before.
Right.
And then they gave him his own cleat. Like there was the R10 cleat. Like they haven't really done that again. Like they've given players colorways, but they've never given someone like their own model ever again. So
No, I think there's
just
only one other
crazy.
player that has done that, and we'll probably get into him later. But no, you're right. Like he brought it to that he elevated the game to a whole new level.
Yeah, yeah. All right, give me your number two.
All right, number two for me is gonna be a winger. I've always liked him, David Beckham. I know a lot of people don't like him. I'm not sure why. He gets a lot of hate, but I mean that guy knows how to like for being a winger, he knows how to play that spot real well. And like the way he started like curving balls
Yeah,
in, I think that like
and
that's
just
another guy that kind of changed the game a little bit.
getting real good at free kicks, especially from distance.
Yeah, yeah, like he was like a sniper basically. Like you
Yeah,
got to watch out for him. So, yeah, out of the old country England, David Beckham, he's up there for me. I've always liked him. I've always liked a good strong winger to cross in some balls.
yeah. I think David. That's an interesting. I didn't think you. I thought you were messing with me at first. But David Beckham is probably one of the most underrated guys for what he's actually accomplished in football. He's
Mm-hmm.
probably like overrated in how many people know him, but with what he's actually done, especially like at Man United and then being part of Los Galacticos at Real Madrid, And then even just making the move to the MLS and like putting the whole league on the map was massive. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Like anywhere he's kind of gone, he's brought more. He's kind of grown the fan base of the club and himself. I'm not sure where he played at before Man United, because that's kind of where I started following him.
I think that's where
Um,
he played for their academy, so he came up through there.
okay, yeah. Um, I mean, in a way, I don't know if you can call it a sellout. I guess you could. He he went after the major contracts, and he was kind of like, I guess, a pretty boy, and people hate him for that. But I mean, if you look at his highlights, like a lot of the stuff that he did, he had that. I'm sure other players have done it, but like, he had that one goal from the halfway mark.
Yeah,
Um, he's had plenty of long
some
distance curves.
some big time free kicks in the World Cup. Like I think it was the one
Yeah,
against Greece to go to the quarters or semis, something like that. Like that was a huge deal. Um,
exactly.
yeah,
And for an English player, um, I don't know too many other English players that have went over to Real Madrid. As far as like Real Madrid, I've always known, Brazilians or Spanish players. I can't put my finger on it right now, but I mean, how many more other English players have came over to play in Real Madrid? So he's made
yeah,
from major club to major club in each division, from English Premier, he's Manchester United, Spanish, he's over in Real Madrid, and then MLS, one of the biggest clubs at the time, or probably still, the LA Galaxy.
yeah, yeah. No, that would make sense. I think he's probably someone that's not on a lot of people's list, but I think that totally makes sense. All right, my next. I'm gonna kind of switch it up. Actually, I thought we were gonna have similar ones and twos, but I'm gonna get a little creative with it. I'm gonna say I think this one's probably on a lot of people's list, but I'm gonna say Zinedine Zidane. Uh, I kind of got his career pretty late into it, especially the 2006 World Cup. But if you go back and like look at what he's done, again, World Cup winner, Champions League winner, been to a World Cup final twice. Super good on the ball, like great attacking midfielder, can shoot from far range, can volley, great playmaker, and played for all the biggest clubs, Juventus, Real Madrid, and he's now been super successful as a coach. Plus, that legendary moment in the World Cup final where he just headbutted the guy was awesome. So I'm gonna say Zidane.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think Zidane's always going to be remembered for that headbutt. Uh, but it's pretty bad how like one bad incident like that can overshadow a lot of your major goals and accomplishments in your career. Um, but no, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he's always been a good midfield player. I think he's also played in the defensive mid, but uh, another interesting player that come out of France and play Real Madrid. What other clubs has he played in?
He played for Juventus. I'm not sure who he
Oh,
played
that's
for before that. I think probably like a French club coming up, and probably through their academy or something.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like back to the headbutt thing real quick. It's also it's a shame. I mean, one, it was I think it was a cool moment, but obviously like it probably cost France the tournament. But like
Oh, it did for sure.
everything he did up to that point in that tournament, I mean, he was like player of the tournament. He, you know, pretty much shut Brazil down when they were probably the favorites to win and beat them to get to the final, I believe. I think even in that game against Italy, he scored a penalty and he did, the little like chip penalty, the Panaka. That was like sick to like, to have like the bravery to do that and just like so calmly just put it away. Um, just a sick player. Sick, sick, sick.
Was it ever uh did it ever surface what happened, like why he got so upset?
From what I have heard, it was because the Italian guy like said something about his like sister or something, and so he just like decided to headbutt him, which was sick.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it. All right, give me your number one.
Well, I think my number one, Ronaldo. I mean, to me, he's always like has just amazed me everywhere he's gone. Um, he's just a goal scoring machine. That guy. He's set so many records that are probably not going to be broken for a long time. Um, I'm not sure what club he started in, but I know like when he hit Manchester United, that's when like he kind of caught my eye, and ever since then, like the quickness that he's got, the step overs that he does, and like how he runs, I'm just like that dude's crazy, and he's only like gotten better and better through each team that he's played at. I think his peak was at Real Madrid for sure.
Yeah.
And then he probably kind of plateaued at Juventus, and his slow decline is, and it's like I say, it's a slow decline because he's still like, you got to mark this guy or otherwise he's gonna put goals in. He went back to Manchester United, um, and he's won most, if not all, the Player of the Week awards and Player of the Month for Manchester United. Like, he's up one of the top scoring scores right now for them. So
Yeah.
he set the bar high. That guy. I think who was it? Zlatan said that if he was asked to pick like which one was the better player, he says Messi is more naturally gifted, and Ronaldo is like factory made,
Yeah.
or just like he's put in the time. Not saying that Messi hasn't, but I think the game probably comes maybe maybe a little easier to Messi, but Ronaldo has like put in the extra hours and time into
Yeah.
his game to like perfect it.
But like the way I've always thought of Ronaldo and Messi, like that whole conversation, uh, I think Messi's better and he's gonna be my number one. But I think it's like he's probably just more talented, like naturally talented than Ronaldo. But
Mm-hmm.
Ronaldo's like I would say there's a lot of players who have been as talented as Ronaldo, but not worked as hard. And it's that whole thing of like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like the epitome of Ronaldo. Like he just is extremely hardworking and super strict. Like you hear stories about it all the time. And then like I think Messi's probably like a combination of the both of like talented and works hard. And then Ronaldinho's like the whole like talent but didn't work hard. That's like
Right.
how I've
Yeah.
always thought of those three guys. Like when people talk about like who's the best, it's like, well, it's the best is probably Ronaldinho, but he doesn't work as hard. And then you've got Messi, who's probably the most talented, and then you got but like works hard, and then you got Ronaldo, who's probably not the most like is obviously still very talented, but probably isn't
He's
as
like a
talented
hybrid.
as those. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it when he played at Man United and was that very like step overy guy like as much as I didn't like him, it was always fun to go like watch those clips like especially before a game or a practice or something and be like I'm gonna try to do this or even just learn how to do some of this stuff like
It's amazing to me that the speed that he would do those step overs at. Like, if you ever go back and look at some of his highlights on YouTube or whatever, if you look at his like the speed on the step overs, it almost looks like they're edited like on uh to fast forward track a little bit. But it's you can see the other players still like trying to keep up. At like
yeah
it was crazy like how he could get 4 or 5 step overs off, uh, and that like it almost like a slow paced ball moving, and I would try it. I'm like, like my feet would be so heavy. I'm like, jeez, that dude is just incredible.
and he's good long range shooting too and
Oh
obviously
yeah,
his free kicks were really good
yeah, and he's got the that powerful jump
yeah
for headers. Like he's one of those aerial threats.
yeah
Um,
that was
and
always
then the count.
his biggest advantage over Messi was that he was a Nike guy. So he always had the cooler cleats.
Yeah. I've never been a big Adidas fan. And I think that's probably also why I just didn't like Messi.
Yeah.
But no, even like what was I gonna say? Like Even when he gets balls crossed into him, like he's an aerial threat. Whereas Messi, I don't think he can do that. I mean, I'm sure he's done some, but not like Ronaldo.
I mean, he's Messi has literally chested a ball into the back of the net, so doesn't need to head it. But yeah, so that's I think that's a clear number one for you. And I'm on the other side of that. I think my number one would just be Messi. Uh, maybe not as of late. You don't see clips of him anymore as much, and he's kind of like taken to be more of like a team role player at PSG.
Yeah,
And you can see clearly, like I don't think he really like has that same drive to play as much anymore for PSG that he did for Barcelona. But for a good like 10 years or 15 years, like every maybe not 15, but maybe from like '09 to right before he left Barcelona, every weekend was just, oh, here's a hat trick Messi scored, or like here's this incredible. And I think it just gets lost on you of like how incredible some of the stuff he's done like actually is, just because he did it so often. Um, just like I mean, some of the records he's put up. He's won, the Ballon d'Or so many times, multiple Champions Leagues, obviously won La Liga multiple times, and just so many amazing goals in big games. I would say, like, I guess the knock against him is probably on the international stage. Hasn't really won much besides, I think, one Copa America.
right.
um,
But
but
I think it goes the same way for Ronaldo. Like
well, he's won the
his
Euros, which I would say is
he's won the
more
Euros.
competitive
Yeah,
than Copa America.
yeah.
Um,
But with Copa America, uh, Brazil being right up there, and
yeah,
Colombia probably a strong number two with Uruguay. But Chile's also has been a strong team recently, not always. But Argentina and Brazil have always been like the two powerhouses.
yeah.
Um, and the fact that he hasn't done it as much is kind of goes to say something in my book.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think what he did at Barcelona, like
Yeah,
I think a
because
lot
if
of
you look,
people probably underrate like some of the stuff he's done and like some of the stats he's put up and like some of the clips you see of him and stuff. I think people just forget like how many incredible goals he's actually scored.
he's real good at like being a slippery player, going in between and out of defenders and things like that. That's what I've always kind of noticed. Like he can tap the ball just out of reach of a defender right before the defender gets to it. And I've always thought that was pretty good. Um, but that was about it for me. But what I was gonna say was like, Argentina's always been a powerhouse, and they will most likely always continue to be a powerhouse. Whereas Portugal before, like, they've in my eyes have never been a threatening team as far as like international tournaments, things like that.
I mean, I would
But
say
now
even
when
now, like they don't. It's not like they have a bunch of superstars.
right, yeah, not now, but when Ronaldo joined the crew, like now they got some silverware, things like that, and
Yeah,
now that he's gonna leave, it's probably gonna go back.
yeah, agree. Yeah. I was gonna say one more thing, but I totally forgot. Oh, but yeah, I mean, with the upcoming World Cup, like it'll be a fairy tale ending if either one of those guys win it. I mean, just the ultimate cherry on top of two amazing careers. Um, and
Yeah,
then last thing I was gonna say, yeah, for me, Messi's always been that case of like if you're super talented and you work hard, like those are like the fruits of your labor. That's kind of like how I've always thought of Messi, of just being like both, like the most talented guy and probably like the most hardworking. You just probably don't see it as much as you do with like Ronaldo.
no, yeah, and and probably helps that each club that they've landed at have kind of built a team around that player,
Yeah,
especially like Barcelona. He was the main guy, and they brought in support players. Not so much now in PSG, I don't think, which is
yeah.
maybe that's what like he's not performing as well.
Well, it's
Like I don't
almost
feel
like
like
he's
he's
the support player now.
right. Yeah, like I don't feel like he's that great right now.
Yeah, I would say yeah, he's probably fallen off more so than Ronaldo, and obviously Ronaldo going back to Man United and back to the Premier League. That's a bit more impressive than like going to PSG.
Yeah, yeah. I was almost wish these two guys would have moved back to the Spanish league and kind of had that rivalry going again and kind of rode it out into the sunset that way.
That would have been cool. Yeah. All right, hold on. I gotta go use the restroom real quick. Let's take a break.
We the podcast boys. 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 Podcast boys.
Okay, I'm back.
Me too.
Nice. All right. Well, that was a little, topic we wanted to talk about. We'll probably start doing that a bit more in the podcast. If you guys have any topics you guys want us to talk about or anything you want to hear our opinions on, leave a comment on our YouTube page or reach out to us on our socials or leave it in the review, and we'll shout you out and talk about it and cover the topic on the next episode. But
Yeah, I'd like to know what some of their players who they pick. I mean, I had to throw Ronaldo out there, but like if there was some unsung heroes, I would definitely also go with like Jonesy Park, Nedved, Beasley, Yepes.
yeah,
I could go on and on with some of those guys.
yeah, I would say those are probably more of like your top favorite players and like top players.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty much just listed your whole Pro Evolution 2009 lineup.
Jerry Springer.
Yeah, Drew Carey.
Yeah.
But anyways, so let's jump right back into the actual matches that happened while we've been gone. So again, we did a whole recap of the Nashville match, but unfortunately, it was lost to the sands of time. Well, no one will ever hear it or what we talked about, which is unfortunate. But basically, what we said was it was a really good game.
In a nutshell, yeah.
But man, what a huge contrast this weekend, huh?
It was, and that's crazy. Like Nashville on paper was way better than us. And then us on paper, we were way better than Miami, but it was just not in the stars or whoever was rigging up the games didn't want us to win. But I mean, it was looking good in the first half,
Yeah.
kind of.
On paper, it looked good.
Yeah, look, I've looked at a couple of Miami's highlights, and they don't really like pressure high a lot. But this game, they were just like constantly on us. And typically, we're pretty good at like cutting off the pass and counterattacking. But this game is like anytime we got the ball, we almost lost it right away, and we were just. It seemed like we were just on our back heels most of the game. I'm surprised more of those goals didn't go in.
Yeah. I mean, they had one called back too, so could have been
Yeah,
14.
thank goodness.
But yeah, I mean, to provide some context, if you missed the match and you missed the scoreline, Charlotte traveled to Miami. Although technically, I don't think it was Miami. I think their football stadium's like outside of the city of Miami. But they traveled to Miami, played them at home, and blew a 2-0 lead to lose 3-2, quite at the last minute as well. And it's interesting you said like it felt like Miami was pressuring us really high up the field and just constant like man-on-man pressure. And that I haven't watched a whole lot of Miami games. One, when they played us at home, it definitely didn't feel like that. It didn't seem like that's how they played or their style. And watching the second half especially, it really reminded me of like playing against like Philly, or even like Montreal, like just constant pressure, no one to pass it to, and then just kind of like, creating crazy goals, and just dominating us for the whole game. Do you think teams, especially when we play on the road, are starting to watch more and more tape and seeing that that's kind of like what we struggle with on the road the most is high pressure and constantly high pressure. And do you think it was like a tactical change by Miami to switch their playing style to reflect that more?
Um, Possibly. I mean, obviously that's the when you're forming up strategies against teams, you got to look at tapes and things like that. Um, but then again, we've always been good at like cutting away that pass. I think our midfield, that middle three, broke down a lot. Uh, and especially our back line. I mean, there was so many instances where they had like three or four guys in the box, and it was like if one guy missed, there was another guy there to pick it up. Um, I think around the 25th minute, I forget who this one, but this I think number 16, he just kind of dribbled right around like three defenders. Thank goodness Kalina stopped it. I don't know how, but there was just a lot of instances where they had three or four guys and they're just passing around in the box and waiting for an open shot. And then maybe we cleared out and then they get the ball right back in the midfield and start the attack again. So it was just like a lot of attack, 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 attack. And I think we just weren't used to that. I think we're used to cutting the ball off and starting our attack and not having that pressure that they brought. Like a lot of the times in previous games, we cut the pass, start going up, and the team is like their defense is kind of getting ready for us to come in their half, but Miami said no, you're not coming in our half at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a hard game to watch. I mean, they just looked really bad from the back line all the way to the front. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't even
it
know how they scored two goals with like it seemed like I mean obviously they scored the first one extremely quick, but then after that it just felt like we never had the ball and the only we just kind of went back to that old school style of playing of just like booting it up to the forward and hoping for something to happen and it was just like you know
yeah
you knew we were never gonna get a third goal with that like that's just
yeah
not
like
how our front line like gets their opportunities.
no yeah they were just like trying to boot it out of danger or something like that. I don't I mean we scored 20 seconds in, and maybe that's what lit Miami on fire. um and they kept leaving Reina open. But if
Do
you
you
look
think that
at
was
if you
like
go
our
back,
downfall as well? Like, do you think we got too comfortable after scoring so early on the road after such a big win the week before? Do you think it was just like, oh man, like this is gonna be another dominant performance, and the team just never kind of like woke up?
I I think so. I think so, and only because like in I guess the statistics in soccer, like you put one or two in, and basically the match is over. Um, Especially just coming back from a 2-0, it's not impossible as we saw, but it's really hard to do. Um, I thought maybe our guys were just gonna keep. They thought maybe they were gonna keep getting lucky. Like that's what I thought the whole game. Like yeah, we scored right away, and then yeah, we scored. I think 20, 30 minutes later, and I thought okay, like it's gonna be how we played Austin or something like that, where they had few attacking opportunities, and they scored, and we had a lot of attacking opportunities and were blocked. So I thought maybe we're just gonna keep blocking them. Maybe the defense is gonna keep just getting rid of it. Um, but I mean, it wasn't the case at all. Like Miami was just they were determined to get that win against us.
Yeah, they were moving the ball around really nicely, like
Mm-hmm.
very quickly into dangerous positions, like in between the lines, like just it was really good. I mean, they played really really well. It definitely wasn't like three goals because of mistakes we made or anything. Like it was really clever, like attacking passing.
So let me read you this stat real quick that I pulled up here on the Sofa Score. So overall for the whole game, passes completed um, by or just passes made by us was 386. Miami had 546.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Eesh.
Shots inside the box. These are just the ones that kind of stood out to me. We had 2. Miami had 10.
Goodness.
Yeah, exactly. And then shots outside of the box, we had 2. Miami had 5. So, like, the whole thing was just them passing a lot. Just a lot.
Just setting up a ton of chances.
Yeah, basically. And it's just like shoot. Like, eventually some of them's going to go in. It probably didn't help any that it was raining out, too, and maybe the ball was slippery.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, hearing those stats, it's like whenever you have a buddy play FIFA with you the first time, and you're like, oh, man, I'm going to, smoke them. And they just get 2 goals on you real quick from, like, they accidentally hit the cross button instead of the shoot button and somehow scored. And
Yeah.
a weird ricochet, and they scored, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Nah.
And not to take away from our goals, like our goals were good, especially
were.
the first one, and like Reyna had an absolute game. Like, I don't think he's had quite the game. He hasn't actually. First 2 goals, and it stinks that they go towards a loss. Like,
Yeah, especially the way he's been performing lately. Like, he's
Mm-hmm.
become undroppable. Before, early in the season, it was like, well, you don't know what Reyna you're going to get. Lately, like, every time he's played, it's been like a 9 out of 10. And, this was like a 10 out of 10 performance. Like, you can't ask for much more. And like
Yeah.
you said, it stinks that it happened at a loss. Like, I wonder what that does to, his attitude and whatnot, what it'll do to his performance next weekend. And a great
Yeah.
pass for Swiderski. One thing I did want to say, though, is like, this is to all the Charlotte FC fans. You guys gotta chill. People were going nuts after this loss. Like, fire the coach. Fuchs sucks. Bender sucks. Blah blah blah. Like, you guys were all cheering for all these guys like so much earlier this season, and now after like one bad performance, everyone's just ready to put them into the firing squad. Like, relax. It's just 1 week.
Well, dude, I can't not disagree with them, because it's like we should have won this game. We're playing Miami. Like,
But
this
people
is
are being like, we need to bench Fuchs. Swiderski's garbage. Kalina should have saved those, and it's like, if you guys forgot what those guys have done all season long, like, come on, like, benching Fuchs, that I don't think that's the right call, right, going forward, like, especially after maybe just one bad game. Kalina's been a game saver, most of the matches out here. And honestly, I can't really blame any of the 3 goals on him. This is, probably the backline's worst performance, but, look at how they've looked since Latanzio took over. Do you really want to shake that up and go back to, McCoon starting at center
God,
back
no.
and kicking the, scoring own goals and giving up PKs? Like, just gotta relax. Like, it was one bad performance. Like, let's see what happens next week. Like, we saw what happened the
Yeah.
week before. Like, there's gonna be really high highs and there's gonna be lows. Like, that's just soccer. Like, I mean, I'll never. When I was a big Chelsea fan and I was watching every game, there was games where, like, they were playing like 15th place Stoke City, and they needed to win to get like a 2-point or 3-point lead over Man United and Arsenal and all them, and it was just like you would just see them like getting scored on, like, with stupid mistakes, and like teams just have a bad game. Like, it just happens even to the top teams. So I don't think calling to fire an interim coach who has gotten you your first away road win against the Houston, who's gotten you some big home wins against like New York and then Nashville. I don't think that's the answer after this performance.
No, man, I agree with the fans. I mean, if you're going to make playoffs, you can't have no bad games. You gotta start fresh now. That game did knock us out of the playoff spot, though.
And I will say this, like, I think if we make playoffs, I think that's like an A+ season. Even if we lose first round, I think that's more than we could have asked for, given how the start of the season went and everything. But I
Yeah.
do think they've probably just lost too many games early on in the
Yeah.
season. I just don't see it literally is like you need to pretty much win every game and hope certain results go your way or at least tie, especially on the road. But with the upcoming schedule and whatnot, I mean, I still think the next 4 games are winnable games. I think after those 4, it gets really hard.
Well, Miami should have been a winnable game.
Yeah, that's very true. Um, so I think realistically, like finishing top 8 is probably where we'll be, like right at that 8th place. Which again, like for how the start of the season went and for what everyone's expectations of the team were, I think that's pretty good. Like that's you passed the first season, you got like a B minus or a B. You
Yeah.
passed, like it's good. Um, I think making playoffs is probably going to be our reach now, though. Realistically,
Yeah, I think making playoffs is like the main objective, and I think that's what everybody's end goal kind of is. Um,
I just
you
don't
know,
know
I've
how
said it before.
realistic it is anymore, though.
Right now,
Because we
I
have
mean, not
what
too great.
11 losses.
Uh,
That's a lot
yeah,
of
I mean,
losses.
we gotta like count on other results now for us to like get up there. Like Cincinnati is above us in the 7th spot, and they have a goal difference of -5, where we have like a -2. They have 27 points and we have 26. So if like we get a win and they lose, their goal differential also goes more into the negative, and we would take their 7th spot.
Yeah,
Like so we're like also kind of dependent on how other teams do or don't do, which is it's kind of fun to watch. Like
yeah,
uh, you know, you're not like up there where like Philly, New York, they're like, yeah, they're definitely gonna make playoffs. Sitting comfortably at number 1 and 2 with 39 and 38 points. Like nobody's
yeah.
touching those guys.
Where like it doesn't even
Um,
matter if you miss a game because it's just like, well,
exactly. Yeah, but now it's like no bad games.
yeah,
Like
every
if you
game is do
if
or die.
exactly, and in a way, I mean, I'm not saying fire the coach or fire Kalina and all these guys, but it's like I felt like some of his subs that he made weren't aggressive enough.
That is something I
Um,
would definitely agree with. I think his management of the substitutes since he took over has been his weakest point, and I don't remember if we talked about it in the Austin game or in the Nashville game or what. But well, and to go back to the Nashville game, like I thought he actually did it really well there, where he put on Shinyashinsky and Bender, and those
right.
guys kind of took over the game, and he put them on early too, like
Yeah.
75th minute or something.
Yeah,
And
because I
this,
think when he put those on, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
oh,
off,
you're
but
good.
when he put those guys on, I think we were up like 2-1, and he wanted to secure that lead.
Yeah,
That makes sense. On this one, it's like, dude, it's tied up. Like, Shinoshinsky and Bender should have been in as soon as they scored maybe that first or second goal. Like, I don't know when he put him in, but I don't like no defensive players going. Like, all offense. Switch the formation up to like a I don't know 3-4-4 or something. Where
yeah.
most of it's attacking.
'Cause
No more bad games.
that's I mean that's what frustrated me was like I think in the 55th minute or something like very early he took Awful off who had a yellow, so that kind of makes sense. But then he put Mora on and put Mora like out by Fuchs and then just played with like 5 in the back. And it
Yeah.
was like, dude, why are you it's so early in the second half to try to like grind out a victory or like it's just there's too much time. You got to go put some pressure on too. You can't just sit back and hope to absorb everything. Just way too much time. And then to put Chinyasinski on as like the lone forward with 10 minutes left, I mean, that was just like, it's just too
No.
little
Yeah.
too late. And, you know, personally, I don't think he works as like a lone forward. Like, he needs someone to, I mean, him and Serjersky, they need guys to like play off of. They're
Yeah.
not
They
gonna
need the
like just get
1-2
the ball. Yeah,
pass.
they're not gonna get the ball at the half line and just out dribble everyone and then shoot and score. Like they need time to set up runs and to find space and to play it off and run into that space and someone to deliver them a ball. Like I just didn't see like those tactics working out.
One thing that kind of I did notice was we had four. So how many subs does the MLS allow? Is
It's
it three or
five. I
four
think it's
or
5.
more? Oh, really?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah. So and again, I don't know why you're gonna put McCoon in. I don't know why you're putting Lindsay in. Like, yes, I get Awful has a yellow, but like, who cares? Like, let him get another yellow or red out. Like, risk that because you also have Lindsay in your back pocket.
Yeah.
But Gaines needs to be going in. Vargas needs to be going in. Derek Jones needs to be going in. Mora, yes, I agree with Mora. Definitely agree with Shinshinsky. Definitely agree with the Bender sub. But like,
Well,
I felt like when those subs went in, it was he switched the formation to more defensive.
yes, he did. He went with 5 in the back, and I thought, when we played Nashville, he put Mora in, but he put Mora in for Reyna, and like he played that like winger role. Like he played really far up the field.
Right.
So I thought he was gonna kind of do the same thing here, but then I just like didn't see Mora for long periods of time, and then just saw Serdersky up by himself, and saw Yazwiak playing really deep in our own half as well, and I was like, did we just like switch to like 5 in the back? And I mean, I guess that is essentially what we did, and it was just like there's too much time, like in the way
Yeah.
Miami's like playing, like
Mm-hmm.
it's just like
It's just shot after shot after shot
yeah, and
like
like
that.
the way you punish those teams isn't to just sit back and take it. It's like try to set up a counterattack because they're gonna send as many guys forwards because they're hungry for a goal, and it's like you try to punish that, but not by putting like more defenders on. I think like
Right.
Gaines would have been perfect, Vargas would have been perfect, and that is the one thing that does piss me off is how we haven't seen Vargas in a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so unjust. Like I don't, I think every time he's come on the field, he's put in a really good performance, had an impact right away, and even fans on Twitter who like didn't know who Vargas was are asking for him. So like he's been, he's only got a couple minutes, but he's made that big of an impact even on the fan base to people are like, why isn't this guy playing? Like I just think that's the only criticism really that I have for Latanzio is just poor man management, poor substitutions.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like if we're gonna waste time and try to kill the clock to secure even just a 2-2 lead, like do it on their half. Like, go pass the ball around or don't wait for them to like attack you. Don't try to like dig in a fortress. Like bring the fight back to them.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the team was managed very well this game. And I don't think it was fair for the effort that especially Reyna put in.
Yeah.
The result that came out of this game, I didn't think that was very fair. But you know,
I mean, hopefully
that's
he
why
just
he's
he,
the coach.
yeah, hopefully he just learns from it, right, and makes the adjustments and sees that like he just got the substitutions wrong. Like it's just the tactics were wrong. Like should have just sat back so much. Should have tried to go for a third. Um,
Yeah, but
and
I'm
then
also noticing a pattern too in his subs. Like Awful goes out, Lindsay goes in, Mora eventually makes his in, and then it's either Shinshinsky and Bender coming in. Like like you said, and I'm sure the fans have asking for it. Like you need Vargas and you need Gaines back in that mix to mix
yeah,
it up. Otherwise, it's gonna be too predictable.
yeah, agree. Um, the last two things I wanted to call out was, that third goal. You know, as much praise as we've given Ben Bender, uh, that's totally on him just having a bad first touch. Like he needs to really clean that up. If he could have just, killed that ball and kept it on him instead of, it bouncing 3, 4 feet away from him, I don't think that third goal happens. And then secondly, Yazwiak, you know, for being a DP, just not seeing enough out of him, not creating enough chances, not getting any assists, and not scoring. Just been really disappointed with how he's been with for the team so far. So would like to see that change in the starting lineup. Maybe put Gaines back out there because he was having a lot of impact when he was playing. Um,
Yeah,
but for the Bender thing, I think that's why he's not in the starting lineup anymore. Like Quinn McNeil has a really good first touch, and Bender just doesn't. And Bender tends to lose the ball a lot because of that. And I think probably
I will say, not to take away because I agree with you. Like Yazviak I feel like he should be putting out a little more than what he is, especially for a DP player. Uh, but kind of just like a kudos for him because he did, take he had that interception within the first minute where he took the ball, passed it to Swiderski, and then Swiderski over to Reyna. So he was kind of like part of that attack and play. And he's been part of other attack and plays, but like that needs to be like double that.
Yeah, but you got to think he's like a DP. Think about all the impact like Shinyashinsky and Bender have had. Like how many goals they've set up and scored compared to like him.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
especially Shinyashinsky like playing in a really similar role.
I'm also not too impressed with. Well, is Shinsky? He's not a DP.
No, he's not. That's what I'm
No.
saying. Like, so he's had a bigger impact as not being a DP.
Oh right, yeah. But what I was gonna say is like I'm also not too thoroughly impressed with Swiderski as a DP player. I mean, he had the first 4 goals early in the season, then he's had this like hiatus.
Well,
And
he set
then-
Reyna up for the goal. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think he does a
feel
lot
like
of stuff off the ball.
True, but I feel like Swiderski should be putting in more goals than he has. Like where Shinshinsky is like, if he goes in, I was expecting a goal out of Shinshinsky this game. Like he was very quiet and like you said, like he didn't have the support he needed.
And he came on like after the 80th minute. Came on super late.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I just felt like we did not play aggressively enough. It felt like he was just trying to wait out the clock. Like, but man, we just got outpassed. Most of it is just we just got outpassed.
Yeah. Hold on. I have to pee again. I drank so much water today. Hold on.
Cheese and rice.
We're the podcast boys. 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 We're the podcast boys.
No, we're not.
Okay, I'm back.
All right.
I drank so much water today.
Bad idea.
Need to dehydrate on podcast day.
Yeah.
But anyways, what were you saying about Shinshinsky?
Wear a diaper.
Maybe. We'll see. Any other thoughts on the game or anything? Anything else you want to add to it? Any final comments?
Try to hit some positives on it. Obviously, that curl that Reyna has, my goodness, he's got real great ball positioning or placement as far as putting in those shots. McNeil is like really letting his presence be known out there. Another, I think, diamond in the rough that Charlotte has been very lucky to acquire or just sign, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And
Undrafted
still,
free agent.
yeah, exactly. And again, just I know they put 3 on him, but Kalina saved so many that could have won in. I mean, like I think he saved one 2 yards out from his hand. So I'm not even mad that he let in 3. Technically 4. One of them got called back, but like
Yeah.
I solely put the I guess the whole I blame this whole game result just on our back 4 and our coach on his formation and substitute use. They let those guys pass that ball around in the box so many times and dribble in and out of there. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. It was as I was watching it was like only a matter of time before some of these go in, and I thought it was only going to be 2-2. Um, but I wasn't surprised when they got the third, which is how much pressure they were putting on. And you could tell Charlotte were just trying to survive. Like they were clearly not trying to like counterattack or anything. It was just like, all right, just get the ball out. And then
Yeah,
Miami would just recycle it and start the attack all over again.
exactly. If if um if you go back and look around, I think the 62 or 63 minute, they have four guys in the box when the guy makes the cross and he puts the goal in, and that one was offsides. And then around the 72nd minute, again, they got four guys inside the box and like 2 to 3 guys outside making the crosses in. Dude, that's like that's more than half your team on our field, like pressuring heavy,
Yeah.
and it's like very light pressure that we're going up to them. Especially that third goal, like dude, Bender should have been on him. Like Bender should have fouled that dude. Like if
Well,
hard.
I mean, like if you watch it, like he's the reason that third goal happens because he just loses that ball, and
I'm talking
then
about the second goal,
oh,
the
the second goal,
equalizer.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like Bender like kind of goes up to the guy and just kind of waits for him to make a move, and the guy just crosses it in. Like I think Bender should have came in like and hit him with the hip, or I don't know. We should have played more aggressive.
Yeah, I agree.
Like we just gave these guys a lot of space to work with. Waiting on them.
Yeah, and it seemed like even when we were attacking, like we weren't, the team wasn't really like helping each other out. Like there's, like I'm rewatching the highlights now, and like anytime we had the ball, there's just so much space in between, like
Mm-hmm.
all the Charlotte FC players. It's like I mean, you can't really make any plays happen. There's no interchange or anything going on.
Yeah,
So
I
just
I think Charlotte probably went in a little cocky. I
yeah,
think they thought they were definitely gonna win this game, and it started out that way. But Miami had other plans.
yeah, yeah.
What do you?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what do you think of? Obviously, not the Chelsea game. We know how that's gonna go, but our next upcoming match.
So we're away again at Toronto. It's gonna be interesting. I hope the team wakes up and watches this game back and just sees what the differences were. I hope the coach kind of quits trying to be so defensive. Like, there's nothing we gain from losing or tying really because we are so far down on the table. Like, it's the risk of going for it all as opposed to like what he just did of just sitting back and hoping we go away with the win. Like, to me, the risk of just going for it is worth the reward. Like if you come away with 3-2 win here, uh that's way better. I mean, obviously, like that's obviously way better than losing 3-2 like we did. But even if it ended up being a tie 2-2 with us sitting back and like we did, and in the third goal not happening, I think it still would have been better to risk it and go for the third goal to win. Like, the only way we make playoffs right now is literally by just winning a ton of games. And I know that like sounds stupid to say, like duh, of course, like winning games is gonna get you to playoffs, but like at the beginning of the season, you can count on like draws and like, all right, as long as we're getting points, that's fine. But we're just so behind the eight ball right now, and maybe people don't realize that because like we're sitting in eighth, and on the table it seems like it's close, but we just have so many losses compared to everyone else in our conference. That's just so many drop points. Um,
Yeah,
so it's like you
yeah.
really need to start building up like not only enough points to get into that top seven, but to even like build up a cushion.
No, you're right. You're right. And I think we've kind of talked about that in previous episodes, where once we get into that playoff on, like you need to keep that streak up to where you're not, in the playoffs one week and out of the playoffs the next week, because of there's so you're so close within. Right now, I'm counting Columbus, Cincinnati, Miami, New England, Atlanta, and Chicago. They're all within a 3 point difference. That's five teams where anything can change so quickly. Where if you build that cushion, then yeah, you can afford one of these surprise losses, or you can afford a 1-1 draw. But right now, it's like every game is must win.
Yeah. And I will say that at least the good thing is like a lot of those teams you just named, we still have to play one more time. So there's still a lot of like points to be made up against people who are also trying to get points. Like
Exactly.
Cincinnati, we still play one more time. I don't think we play New England again, right? We already played them twice. We haven't played Chicago yet. We play Columbus one more time at home. So like there's still a lot of good opportunities. I think this Toronto match coming up is going to be a good opportunity. Uh, DC United at the end of the season could be a very interesting and important game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we'll see how that goes. But
Then we got
after
some tough ones after that.
yeah, well that's the last game of the season. DC United, isn't it?
There's some on August. L.A. August 13th. Chicago Fire August 6th. New York City Football Club August 17th. It looks like the last one is Cincinnati September 3rd.
Oh, okay. For some reason I thought season ended with DC United.
Or each season ended with Miguel.
I'm just kidding.
No. Oh
No,
my
look,
gosh.
there's still a lot of like
Oh no, we played
ground
DC
where we
United
can
really
make up.
soon actually. Okay.
Yeah, that was our first game.
Yeah, so
But I
after
think
the
that's what
DC
makes it
United.
interesting.
Well, I was going to say after the DC United game and after the Chicago Fire game actually, the schedule gets very tough for us. LA, New
Very
York,
tough.
Orlando, Toronto, that's at home, that should be a win.
Yeah.
Cincinnati away, that's going to be a tough game. And then New York at home is going to be tough. Chicago away, that'll be tough. Philly at
Look,
home, that's
you already
probably
know that Philly, LA, and New York are most likely going to be losses.
yeah. And we play New York Red Bulls one more time at New York.
Right.
That's going to be a really tough game.
So like the next, 4 games is when we really need to build that cushion up.
Yeah. So I think again, like, not to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but I think realistically, probably not going to make playoffs. But if we can finish top 8, top 9, I think that'll be really good. The team needs to make some signings though. Like the transfer window's open right now, and I haven't heard anything. No rumors, nothing. I haven't heard of anyone coming in or anything like that.
Yeah,
But that I mean,
I haven't.
obviously they've signed some interesting players that can turn things around. But as things stand right now, I just don't see us making playoffs with the schedule we have and how many losses we've already had. I just don't think there's enough points. And there's like you said, like there's some really tough games going up that are probably going to be losses. New York, Philly, um, LAFC. Like those are. I mean, that's
Yeah.
9 points right there that we're going to miss out on. So, just, I don't know. I don't know.
I
It's going to
think we
be an
can.
interesting way to see though.
It's gonna be fun watching these next couple of weeks, obviously. But I don't know. I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. I think we can make the playoff spot as long as we secure these next couple of wins. And like if Cincinnati's most likely gonna lose this next game. They think they play Nashville. Hopefully Nashville beats them. So it goes into this whole like you got to not only watch our performance but other teams' performances, and
Yeah.
as long as like we do good and the other ones do bad, then we can secure it. So that's really like what I'm counting on. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we can. I think we could. Like I think once we make playoffs, then that's it for me. Like okay, we did it. Like mission accomplished, and that's it.
Fly the banner.
Yeah, but I also agree with you. They need to hurry up and make some signings. Like my phone hasn't rang yet, so I don't know what's going on with
Been
that.
uploading so many YouTube clips of my highlights.
Yeah,
Give me
yeah.
6 months, I'll be match ready. I swear. So
Yeah.
one last question for you. You said we need to pretty much win these next 4 games. So if the next game is another away game at Toronto, if Charlotte lose that game, I mean, is that playoff dreams dead, or are you still gonna hope?
Oh man. I don't think we're gonna lose it, but if yeah, Yeah, I guess it would be, but
So this next game, it really is
again,
like do or die.
this
Like, the,
it is and it isn't because like it also goes to like if we lose, how much do we lose by? Because if Cincinnati loses, the goal differential is what is setting us apart right now as well, a little bit. I think.
yeah.
Let me double check that.
I think if you have to rely on goal differential to make playoffs, you're probably not in a
But that's
strong
what's interesting
position.
about it. That's what's interesting about it. Like, let's say maybe we don't lose, maybe we tie. Now we both have 27 points. Like, and Cincinnati loses, we both have 27 points. But now the goal differential is what is helping us. Then, like, now we're in playoffs. It's what they say is what is it? C's get you degrees. So
Yeah, I guess so. I guess.
draws get you the playoffs. I don't know. I think there's a lot of wiggle room, but it's a very delicate system right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot
I,
of
I
moving pieces.
I think they need to go into this Toronto game with the mentality of like we're already down 1-0. We need to go out and get it. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
you're not really doing yourself that many favors by tying. Like yeah,
no,
it's always good to
exactly.
get a point, but like you need 3 points, especially against a low table team like Toronto. Like everyone's been picking up 3 points from them. You need 3 points.
Right, and
So
and that's another thing. Is like, not only like first of all, don't go into the Toronto game how they kind of went into the Miami game thinking it's gonna be an easy game.
if we score
Um,
early, I'm gonna be scared.
well, I think another thing is too is if we score early, like keep scoring. Not only to obviously secure the win, but again, going back to the goal differential, like if we're in the positives, that's even better.
Like staying after class and doing some extra credit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We got a fun friendly against Chelsea Wednesday. That's gonna be fun to watch and see what the difference in skill level is there, and some exciting players to watch, obviously as well. Raheem Sterling, new Chelsea signing, he's gonna be there. Timo Werner is always great to watch. Uh, some really cool, Reece James, really cool Chelsea players. I'm excited to watch that. They just won the Champions League like last year, not this year but last year. So, some very talented players. And then we're on the road again.
Yeah, yeah,
Any
and
closing statement?
that's another that's another thing too. Depending on like who we play and how hard. Like I think that's gonna be one thing that can hurt us for the upcoming Toronto game is, if a lot of our starters go in and play a lot of minutes in this Chelsea game.
I know. I
Uh,
kind of would rather them just like call up the entire Charlotte Independence team and be like, "You guys play," because I just don't want anyone to get
yeah,
hurt or get burnt. Like we're just
put in
going
the
into such
stunt
an
doubles.
important. Do what?
Yeah, I was gonna say put in the stunt doubles. Like
Yeah.
that's who we need. But
Yep.
that's one like thing that could hurt us. Um, but I believe in the team. I believe in Latanzio.
I seriously
Uh,
think if he just can fix up like the substitutions, just make a little bit better decisions there, I think it's a totally different outcome. Because I think everything else
yeah,
he's done has worked really well. With the consistent lineup, good tactical changes. Like the team's been playing really well recently, and very differently than how they were playing previously. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
yeah, yeah. We'll have to wait and see. It's a waiting game right now,
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully the team does a lot of extra credit.
or at least look at the other person's paper.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna be it for me. Any final thoughts from you, Pablo?
Nope, that's it. I'm just waiting on a phone call and give me 6 months. I'll be ready,
I'll be ready just in time for playoffs.
just
Uh,
in time.
all right. Well, that's gonna be the end of this episode. As always, if you wanna interact with us more, or you can always watch us on YouTube as well. Leave a comment. We're on YouTube at Offsides CLTFC, and on Twitter and Instagram at Offsides_CLTFC. If you like the podcast and want to support us, share it with a friend. Have them listen and leave a review. And if you want to leave a review, go ahead and do that wherever you're listening. We'll be notified, and we will read it out on the next episode.
Talking about if I want to leave a review?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, fine. Do we have a MySpace up yet?
No MySpace yet. I'm trying to get a contact with Tom. I think he's out in Bermuda, enjoying being rich. Something I don't know anything about. But well, I'll keep working on it. I got my people reaching out to his people.
All right, good.
All right, well, we will catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.